Hi, I'm Kimberly. Welcome to Simply Living in a Small Town. Today is Monday already. So, thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate every single one of you for watching, that is. I wanted to get that out before I get into anything else. So, yeah, I've been gone for more than a few days because I absolutely intended to come back and do a video Thursday. I had to think. A lot's happened between the end of last week and this week. Well, the beginning of this week. Last Thursday I did intend to do a video, and it was honestly a terrible day. I'm just going to put it that way. It was truly a terrible day. Um, it was extremely dark and gloomy here. Rained all day. I spent a couple about 2.5 hours trying to resolve some issues with Verizon, and I was so I was so mad. Basically, that put me in a really really bad mood. And I know there's something else that happened that day, but I don't remember what it was. Maybe, and my mood was bad anyway. Mentally and physically, I was not in a great state on Thursday just due to the weather. And that did continue. The weather has continued to be rainy basically about every day now. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it was actually sprinkling this morning too. So now it's dark and gloomy kind of out again. It's not supposed to rain anymore today or for the rest of the week. Fingers crossed that it does not rain this rest of the week, because I, like many others on YouTube and just that I know, here where I live, we're over the rain, really. It's just been so excessive and it's been crazy. And our grass is like way high, like here where I live anyway. My property where my house burnt down, the grass, I mean, I need to go over there and check that again, but it did look okay. But we did at least get one of our lawnmowers dropped off on Thursday, even though it literally poured off and on all that day. Actually, that was the day, yes. My husband went that morning to meet his mom and stepdad to eat, and I actually stayed here because I stayed here to babysit the building, just to make sure that like the water wasn't, because it was supposed to rain before he left. It was getting ready to rain, and literally right after he left, it downpoured like torrential rain. So I just stayed here to make sure everything was okay. And so that kind of, I don't know, that was frustrating too. And then the whole thing later with Verizon, and I still don't have that straightened out because I got a new tablet from them back in February, and I still haven't been able to get them to activate it or understand that the tablet that is on my plan still, that I'm still paying for, is my old tablet that I am not using any data. So now I have paid since February for the old tablet to remain on my plan for services that is not even using. Um, so I've tried to get that done numerous times, and they were kept saying the other day the same thing. It's this tablet, and I'm like, no, it's not that tablet. Okay, it's not. That tablet is like 4.5 years old. That's the one that's on there, but that is not the one that needs activated. Like, yeah, couldn't get through to all actual live human being and all that. So, yeah, very. I just get like, I hate wasting time doing stuff like that. It just, for me, I mean, I think everybody should do this personally, but I mean, time is very valuable. And, you know, I don't want to waste my time doing something like that, or my energy for that matter, because that did work me up. It got me really, like, my daughter's like, wow, you're so mad about it. And I'm like, well, yeah, because I cannot get to straighten this out. Like, oh. So anyway, I'm trying to think what Friday, I had to remember to back up to Thursday, because I know that's when things started to, like, yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah. And then Friday, yeah. And that's when I tell you what happened, then you'll understand why two things have been like a blur. So Friday morning, got up. I had slept good the night before, but I was still really tired. Um, Kind of, or I should say, groggy feeling. I actually slept really good, so I felt better, but I was groggy when I first got up. And I had sat down and opened up Facebook, which I don't actually look at that much, but I off and on, I kind of look at it a little more than I used to, but not as much as or I should say, as I had been, but not as much as I used to be on there, because I just don't. Um, but nonetheless, the first thing that came up on my feed was not the first thing that I actually needed to see by any means at all. So, um, it was a post that one of my best friends growing up had passed away. And I just looked at that with the sheer shock that it could not it could not be possible. It could not be true. And I clicked on it then, and I'm seeing the comments, and it's still just not, it took me a few minutes. And then I just started crying hysterically, because she's the same age as me. And matter of fact, she was 47. I'm 48. But she was 47, and she literally would have been 48 in 3 days. I am not going to promise you that I will not cry in this video. I'm trying to keep my composure, but this has been a really, really tough weekend. So I just, just cried hysterically. I could not believe it. You know, so I went upstairs. I sat down on the bed. My husband knew, like, he didn't even ask me anything, because tears are just streaming down my face. He just looked at me, and I just, told him what happened, that this best friend of mine just has suddenly passed away. And people were commenting on the Facebook. The person that posted it was on her Facebook. Her husband had posted that, she had passed away. You could tell that, because he said, my beloved, her name, passed away at 2 a.m. this morning. So people were commenting like, oh my God, I didn't know she was sick. I'm so sorry. And I'm thinking, we don't, I mean, you don't know what happened. Like, I didn't know what happened. I mean, nobody, he didn't comment back about, which he doesn't have to. I mean, that's really nobody's business. Um, but I thought, I was talking to my husband and he said, there's lots of things that could have happened because I was telling him that people were commenting I didn't know she was sick. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't mean she was sick. Like, lots of different things could have happened. And I said, you mean like, um, I said, like my grandma passed away um, from a heart attack in her sleep, though, which I found solace in that because I'm grateful for the way that happened for her. But I said, yeah, even something like that. He says, yeah, so, I mean, it doesn't mean she was sick, or she could have been sick and not known it, or, I was like, yeah. And I said, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. She's far too young, far too young. And for those of you that have been watching, I've talked about my own 22-year-old son that passed away last year. It's been almost exactly a year. In another month, it'll literally be in another month, a year, a little over that he's passed away. It just rips you apart. um, Living with that every day has been, it's excruciating. Of course, I think of him every single day because he's my child and he's a part of me. Whether, he's here or not, he's still a part of me. And for me, this friend of mine, she was like a sister to me growing up. Um, we became friends at when we were both in second grade. Is when I met her and we became friends. And we did sleepovers at each other's parents, house, like just like normal kids. I mean, she is the first one that I think, had a sleepover with. I'm pretty sure. I remember having a sleepover with. Another one of my best friends growing up. Um, I started being like best friends with this other girl too around the same time. And so we had sleepovers too, but I know at her first house, I only slept over there, I think, once. And she had lived over there for several years. So, um, but this friend that passed away, she stayed at my house a lot, and I at her house. And we just were two little 10-year-old girls, innocent children. We would go outside and play. We loved to play outside, take walks, and all that. And I just, I just want to remember her. Those all those times that we had together. Um, Her getting out a record and playing Wooly Bully on the record player, and us both singing and dancing at her house, and going shopping at the mall, and going through the drive-thru at Hardee's, and she wanted chicken sticks and they didn't have chicken sticks, and she was just like very demanding about the chicken sticks. And I remember my mom kept trying to explain to her they don't, they don't have them here. And then my mom making homemade pizza at home, and I just knew that, you know, Angie was going to love the homemade pizza because I loved it. And it turned out like she just wouldn't even eat it. She didn't really want to try it. So she was a little bit picky when it came to food. Although she had I'm trying to think how to say this. She had a upbringing that was wonderful, but they weren't her parents or whatever weren't like wealthy or anything. She had just a normal, kind of middle class upbringing. And so it wasn't like she was picky because, because of that. Because normally, like, she was just, those are the only two things that I can say that she ever even anything about. Because she was literally like the sweetest, most beautiful, like kind, compassionate, and understanding human being. She was really great with people. She was very friendly, charismatic, and she always had a smile on her face. And I don't even know how. I do a lot better now because my mental health has, believe it or not, even with everything, my mental health is a lot better than it was for years. And a lot of the time back then, I did not have a smile on my face. Although now, somebody looks at me, I want to put a smile on somebody's face. Like, you smile at somebody and it's contagious, and it just like keeps going. But she was that person. Like, no matter what, she just always had this beautiful, brightest smile on her face. Very warm brown eyes. And every time I saw her and we talked, she would say, "We need to get together. I miss you." And, at the end of the conversation, she would always say, "I love you." And I would say it back. And we would hug as we parted ways. Just was normal. Never mattered how much time passed. Over the years, since we were 10 years old, no matter how much time passed, it didn't matter. We saw each other. It was like no time had ever passed. She was that kind of friend. She knew me. I knew her. I can only say that there are, besides her, probably only a couple of other people really truly like that. One of which is my other best friend that I had growing up. I mentioned already, so she's the same. We don't even live close, me and her. But the Angie that just passed, we live in the same town, so, and that's something else very hard because her daughter and my daughter are in the same class at school, and my heart is just broken for, because of her loss, but also for her family. She has 6 beautiful children. I think 3 of them are adults. And then she has 3 in school yet. And then her wonderful husband. My heart just breaks for them, and I just... So, Saturday I did really great, y'all. I'm gonna say I have not done much crocheting at all because excuse me, because of the things obviously that have transpired. I have really just not hardly at all crocheted. I'm gonna need to regroup myself, especially after what I'm going to say next. So her services were today, this morning, in fact. I did great Saturday. I don't know. Friday I was absolutely exhausted after crying hysterically numerous times that day, because not only, about losing Angie, but also then, that triggers me on losing my son, which I cry hysterically about whenever. That's a thing. I just, that just happens. And so I was absolutely just depleted Friday night. Went to sleep and got up Saturday morning, and I really was I was up at 8 o'clock and moving and going, and, even though it was the weekend. And so I actually got a lot done Saturday, and I felt good. And then yesterday I saw, again on Facebook, that, her services were going to be Monday morning. And so I saw that, and I just lost it again. I thought I still cannot. It's just the same for me with my son. I cannot believe it. I honestly feel like I have felt this way since my son died. I feel like I'm living in some alternate reality that's not my reality, and I'm somewhere I don't belong. It's very hard. I know people pass away, all the time. I get that. I do get that. I really do, but this last year has been so difficult. I mean, walked into the funeral home today, greeted by my ex-father-in-law, because, as I stated before, he owns the funeral home in this town. He's a funeral director. So I'm greeted by him when I walk in, and he was shocked to see me. Of course, he doesn't know everybody that I know or whatever, but I did say to him, though, I've been here way too many times this year. And he just looked at me. She was so young, y'all, and my son was so young, and that's the part that bothers me really, really bad. I understand people pass away, that's normal, the thing is like, I miss my grandma and grandpa, my grandpa that built this building. I miss them dearly. Of course, I would give anything to, you know, see them again. I think most of us, in other words, feel this the same way. But, you know, I have to say, they were in their 90s, y'all. I mean, like, that is such a long, like, that's such a long life. Like, when I look back, I think they had a truly remarkable, incredible life that I don't, I know I couldn't even live up to. But they had a very long life, you know? And my son sure didn't. He never even ever had a girlfriend, y'all. Ever. 22 years old, and I'll never have a grandchild from him, you know? Those are things that I'm pretty sure that, you know, he would have eventually, you know. And then Angie, she left behind 6 kids. I really honestly didn't know if I could go this morning because I didn't want to see her laid out. I really didn't. And I knew that that would be that much harder. And as soon as we got in line, because my mother went with me, Angie loved my mom. My mom was like a mom to her, too. As soon as we got in line, you know, I could see a little bit of her in the casket, and I was already starting to like try to turn my head the other way because I was starting to cry. I feel like I went and I needed to go because for her, for one, and I pushed myself to do that, not only for her, but I wanted her family to know, like, how special she was to me, and that I feel their pain. I feel that. I mean, I understand it, and I talked to her husband for a while because at first he didn't remember who I was, but later, of course, in the conversation, he was, oh, yeah, yeah, you know, I remember. He said she used to talk about you often. Yeah. But I gave him a card and I wrote a letter in it just to him and to, you know, his kids because I wanted to talk about some of the things that her and I had done and what a, you know, just beautiful, special person that she was. And I did tell him that there too while we were talking. And he said, oh, I know she was. He literally told me, I said, God bless her. And he says to me, he said, you know, I said to God last night, I need you to get me through tomorrow. He said, that's the only reason I'm standing here. And I said, I understand that because, again, I went through that when, you know, with my son. That was even more difficult situation in a different way than than today. But nonetheless, it's you feel like you're going to be sick. You feel like, how can I stand there and talk to people? How can I just want to be alone, and it's so hard. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about her because she was a very, very special person, and very beautiful soul. She was just beautiful inside and out. Like I said, she was one of the kindest people. Similar in that, my son, he was like that too. And these, neither one of them were ever, just never mean to somebody, I mean, I don't think Angie had a mean bone in her body. Like, I know she didn't. I mean, I could not imagine her just always so sweet and kind. So I am sorry that I have not been, y'all. Like I said, it's like I just need to regroup myself for real. I did sit down and start crocheting some last night because I said to myself, because I was hysterical again last night too, and I'm like, I need to, refocus and sit down and because that actually helps me. Like, when I kind of push myself to, not always, but if I can actually do that, like get myself to sit down and get then focused on that and just work on that, and then that does help to ease me, down. It helps my mental state hugely. So it's therapy, y'all. It's therapy. So we never know how much time we're going to have. That's why it matters. That's why it matters. You matter. I matter. We all matter. Because there are people that love us, and kindness is the absolute easiest thing you could ever be like or do. And Angie had a lot of people that loved her. I mean, I love her still. I told her husband that when we were hugging. I said, I really love her. And he said, I do too. Yeah, I understand. But yeah, I did get to talk to her parents and her siblings and her husband, and then one of her children that is her daughter that's in my daughter's class. I hugged her and told her I'm so sorry, and that I really loved her mom, and that I said I love you too. And she told me she loved me, which was really sweet. She's a sweet little girl. She only had one girl out of 6 children, so if that says anything, she's special, But yeah, I need to refocus. I am hoping now, fingers crossed. I'm hoping that I will come back here shortly. I need to actually eat lunch. It's probably almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's like how bad off I've been today, y'all. I need to eat lunch, and I don't even feel hungry, but I need to make myself eat. So, something. So I intend to be back with another video after this about what I am working on, or trying to work on. moving forward, okay, for the week. But I did want to go ahead and put, a video up beforehand, this video, because I did want to explain like where I've been, because y'all, like, my world like has fell apart, like in in another way, because again, I had such a great friendship with her. I can't say that about very many people, y'all, at all. But you know how it is. If you have one or two people that are just the best friends in the world, and I have about three, well, I have about two of those people left actually now. But you know they're worth their weight in gold. They're worth everything to you. Um, they're worth everything to me. So I love her. God gained an angel with her, and just like my son. So hopefully I come back with another video today. And we will talk about crochet. So, like I said, I apologize for being gone so long. So, but this is where I'm at. So, I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. And God bless.